Wagwan, wagwan, wagwan. It's your humble host, Big Truck. So we're about to tie into this thing right quick. Shout out to my man, CLR, Bruce Rivers, defense attorney. He's about to give his reaction to the whole Shannon Sharpe thing. He has some things to say. I have some things to say. Then the spirit of the universe is going to take us home. Please go to his channel, subscribe. King is doing amazing things. Go show him some love. Without further ado, grab your shoulder pads and your helmet and let's get this work.
Legends of the Street. That's a walking legend right there. Legendary. They whisper about him in corners.
In these complaints is they don't release who the plaintiff is. So all we know is her name is Jane Doe. And they do that for the protection of the victim. And I say that like that because I'm a defense lawyer, so I'm going to attack credibility where credibility is due. Here's how this civil complaint starts. A woman can say yes to consensual sexual relations with a man 99 times, but when she says no even once, that means no. Or does it mean try harder? No, it means no. No means no. Defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who's accustomed to getting what he wants. Listen to this. Here's what I don't like about civil lawyers. Criminal lawyers, we generally get along with our prosecutors. Why? Because we have to fight with each other all the time. And so if you're a stinker, you don't need to be. Some people, there are people that you just know are just awful. So you're going to be awful back to them. Generally, you're going to be immature. Try not to be like that. So when somebody's really awful to me, I get quiet, I get polite, I get subdued. And then when it's time to feed them their lunch on a legal issue, that's when I pounce. After many, many months of manipulating and controlling plaintiff, a woman more than 30 years younger than he, murmur, and repeatedly threatening to brutally choke and violently slap her, Sharpe refused to accept her answer to no and raped plaintiff despite her sobbing and repeated screams of no. He's 56, so she's 26. 56-year-olds generally shouldn't go out with 26-year-olds. Now, 36-year-olds, that's a little better. That seems to be my situation.
I understand where he's coming from to that extent. But again, let's be honest. Let's really be honest. Younger women in their 20s have always been going after men in their 40s and their 50s. I say up to 55. However, opposites do attract. But in most cases, right is right, wrong is wrong. You like who you like. Hey, it is what it is. So let's continue on.
I'm 58 and going out with a 36-year-old. And you know what? We just connected and it's so loving and happy and it's just so nice. I didn't go out with her because she's 36. I went out with her because she's fantastic. Plaintiff was working in a Los Angeles gym when Shannon Sharpe approached her for the first time. Previously, Jane Doe had noticed Sharpe watching her during her workouts. At this time, she was only 19 years old. At the time, she did not know who he was, only that he was another older man ogling at her at the gym. Doe could tell Sharpe was much older than her, and she found him physically intimidating. Well, he would be physically intimidating to anybody, pretty much.
Most of us are. I'm a defensive lineman. I stand about 6'2", 300 pounds. Okay? But I'm solid. Even I would be intimidating to most. But we're still human beings. And it's obvious that that's what she likes. We're going to look into things instead of looking at things. And we're going to dive in deep, deep, deep. Like I always said in previous videos, there's more to it. And we're going to delve in deep. Let's continue.
Eventually, he introduced himself at his determined insistence, and she gave him his number. Here's, at first blush, what I see. You've got a situation where this is going to be won or lost on the credibility of the witnesses that are there, i.e. the plaintiff, i.e. the defendant, right? It's a he said, she said case, period. What do you do to garner credibility for either side? Well, you get text messages, emails, restaurant records or credit card records. You get all kinds of other corroborating information, other people's testimony. Well, did you see them interact? Yes, I did. And he was fucking awful to her. Or yes, I did. And she was so demanding. She always wanted a Tiffany bag. She always wanted this. She wanted that. Let's see. What followed was the beginning of a rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years. The relationship was very unequal. Of course it was. He's 30 years older than she is. And he makes a lot of fucking money. And she's a gym rat. I mean, give me a break. Of course it was. Sharpe is more than 30 years older, and she is considerably wealthier, is physically much larger, and exponentially stronger. Sharpe is famous and has power. And you knew that going into this consensual relationship, did you not? You knew that he was...
Again, as we tear this thing down, brick by brick, you knew what he was about. You knew who he was. And you still proceeded to date him, see him, sleep with him. So you already knew, okay? So there's no backing out. There's no changing your story. You can't sit up here and say you didn't know. No, you knew. At any point, if it was too much for you, you could have backed out, but you didn't. You stayed. Let's continue.
30 years older. Did you not? Did you not know that he was stronger than you? Did you not know that he had a lot more money? And yet you didn't choose to be with your contemporary, somebody just trying to make their way up in the world, somebody that is your age, did you? In fact, you didn't want somebody without money. You wanted somebody with money. You wanted That's kind of how this cross-examination goes. Plaintiff Sharpe saw each other on his terms. Well, yeah, he's a busy guy. And you have just a job at a fucking gym. On his schedule, as often as 4 times a week. Over time, plaintiff began to see that Sharpe's true nature. She found him to be dishonest about his whereabouts. Ooh, he lied to you. Was he with his mother or was he with another woman? Ooh, murmur. Sounds like a jealousy thing. He often manipulated her at times, being sweet and loving, love bombing, to get what he wanted, and at other times being angry and aggressive to achieve his goals. Get rid of it. Fine, we can break up, that kind of thing. She discovered over time that Sharpe was extremely emotional and possessed an uncontrollable temper. He displayed the characteristics of a true narcissist.
Gaslighting doesn't exist. You made it up because you're fucking crazy.
He wielded his power, his influence, and his celebrity to control plaintiff and get exactly what he wanted, whenever he wanted it.
But wait a minute. Isn't that how a large number of modern feminist women behave? Let me just coin the phrase on that. Okay.
All while jealously guarding what he considered his for himself. So this is not a long complaint, but I kind of want to read it because it's actually pretty good. Reading, that is. I don't think it's a good complaint. By October 2024, Sharpe's behavior had grown progressively. Well, why didn't you fucking leave him? Unless he's holding you kidnapped, and I don't see that in this complaint, why are you still there?
Unless, if he's putting hands on you, which is obvious that he wasn't, why are you still there? If he's so much of this monster, this bad person that you are painting this picture of him to be, why were you still there? Why were you still intimate with him? First off, let's talk about that. How come police wasn't called? How come reports wasn't filed? How come restraining orders wasn't filed? The math isn't mathing. But you're painting this picture of him being this monster. Help me make it make sense, dumbass.
Why are you still there? I'll tell you why. It's all about money. Ain't a damn thing funny. You gotta have a con in the land of milk and honey.
We get to wreck yourself. We get to check yourself before you wreck yourself. You wanted that money. You wanted that bag. He was paying you. Now the truth come out. But you didn't like the fact that he had somebody else that hurted your ego. So you needed to get back. So you fabricated this whole story about him doing this and doing that to you. Then on top of that, when he hands you your pink slip because he's getting another deal, now you taking it upon yourself to file a lawsuit against this man for $50 million. Let's see how that worked for you. Let's continue to feast.
Don't you, Hunter? By October 2024, Shannon Sharpe's behavior had grown progressively worse. Beyond anything the plaintiff experienced with him before, at this point, he was insistent upon recording their sexual activities, sometimes without her knowledge. Well, we have an admission of that, don't we? Remember he put it on Instagram Live?
Oh, yeah. That's my Michelle. That's my Michelle.
Said he did it by accident. Who knows? Sharpe was also sharing the videos with others without her permission or knowledge. Look at this. Look what I just did. Oh my God, isn't she fucking hot? That's probably what he did. Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do to her things that would make no other man want her. You know, some guys are like that. Remember we did the reaction to Vince McMahon? The shit that I'm going to read to you is graphic and is disgusting. This is really, really, really fucking bad. That complaint was just fucking horrible. That was just absolutely awful. The degrading, and it involved other people and him.
But here's the thing. You have a large number of women that do that exact same thing too. So we can argue that. You just have some men and some women out there that are just freaky when it comes to the bedroom. It is what it is. Let's make that known. Okay. But it's, it's how you do it in the nature of it that makes it pleasurable. So we say, let's continue.
Allowing other guys to have sex with this office person, just terrible. By this point, Sharpe was no longer able to credibly maintain that the relationship was exclusive. In other words, he got busted cheating. He, at this point, accidentally or purposely to advance his career, went live on Instagram while having sex with another woman. Sharpe flew into fits of anger when plaintiff noted his infidelity to the relationship or called him out about his extraneous activities.
Basically, he was exposed and he felt some type of way because he got exposed. Again, relationship or not, ladies, if you are an OnlyFans or you doing what you do on IG, you cannot expect for a person to take you seriously in a relationship. Let me make that clear. So you going in to something thinking you got something, but in reality, you had nothing. You already showed your intentions. Your intent was to keep that money coming in. You got mad when it backfired in your face because that's taking money away from you out of your pocket. Now it's kind of making sense here. Let's continue.
Once been manipulation, control, and intimidation now became something far more dangerous and sinister. Sharpe even figured out how to get into Doe's apartment complex without her permission. Sharpe made it clear that what Doe wanted was of no moment. Sharpe would get what he wanted when he wanted it. In October 2024, Shannon Sharpe violently sexually assaulted and anally raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, Nevada, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. He did it.
I want to talk about that. Now, once again, these are allegations. We don't know if it's true or not, and we're going to leave it at that. But if a person puts it in your back door, not once, but twice, tell me something. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't have allowed it to happen the first time. But there's 2 times you allowed this to happen. This act to happen. This bedroom act to take place 2 times.
It again in January. Plaintiff left Nevada to temporary escape. Defendant Shannon Sharpe. She now seeks justice through this action and other means, and she wants $50 million. So the complaint starts out by talking about who he was, and we kind of know who he is. You see pictures of him there in the complaint. He's a Hall of Famer. I don't think I could outrun him. And then it goes on to talk about the consensual nature, and it was consensual at first, and then revealed from the start violent, aggressive, and controlling nature. Well, he's got CTE, honey. When you date a 30-year-old NFL star, aren't you going to expect that he's got some CTE going on? And shouldn't you just kind of give him everything he wants? No, you shouldn't. No does mean no, ladies. I'm not here on Shannon Sharpe's side, or on Jane Doe's side for that matter. But every allegation's got to withstand scrutiny. It's got to withstand cross-examination. It's got to hold up to the light of the truth. I should have been a preacher. So the first...
Again, and I'm in agreeing with that. No means no. That goes for men and women. No means no. Okay? And once that's violated, then that's a totally different conversation. Once again, this is alleged. Okay? It's right now where it stands, his word against hers. That's where it stands. Yes, you have recorded phone conversations. Yes, you have text messages. Okay? But again, it goes back to square one. You knew what you was getting yourself into when you got with him. If it was that bad, as you clearly state, why did you stay? Because you wanted that money. That money was coming in. You didn't like the fact that somebody else was having access to your bag. And you got mad. You got in your feelings. So to retaliate, you fabricate. Let's continue. Then you're going to exfoliate.
First night, plaintiff went to Sharpe's house. The experience was unlike anything she'd ever dealt with before. The first night she went to his house. Disturbing, unsettling, and given his subsequent conduct, very illuminating. So, but you stay with him for 2 fucking years? On the very first night it was terrible? There must have been something money into it for you. Money, money, money. When plaintiff arrived at his house, Shannon opened the door to his Beverly Glen mansion without a word. No greeting, no acknowledgement, no small talk. What a Casanova he is. Without so much as looking at plaintiff, he simply turned away from her after opening the door and walked upstairs. Plaintiff hesitated but followed, blah, blah, fucking blah. First claim for relief: assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery. Second claim: intentional infliction of emotional distress. And those are the only 2 claims, basically. And she's asking for general damages in excess of $10 million. Special damages in excess of $10 million. Punitive damages in excess of $20 million. Statutory penalties in a sum in excess of $10 million. Special damages are damages you get for medical expenses and wage loss and that kind of thing.
If that was the case, where's medical records? How come you didn't go to the hospital? See, again, she didn't think this whole thing through. You're on OF. You're at 304. Like you're supposed to be treated with royalty. You're a 304 toe. Again, how you carry yourself is how an individual gonna treat you. Let's be clear. You cannot be a 304 toe and expect princess treatment. You cannot be a woman for the streets, a modern feminist mop bucket, moon cricket pirate, and expect princess treatment. How you carry yourself, your behavior is how you will be treated.
And I guarantee you she's not entitled to even $5 million or $1 million of that kind of damages. General damages, how much is it worth? I don't know. I mean, I had a guy that was burned 40% of his body and I got him $35 million. Is she worth, having to have sex with a pro football player and being abused like this? If it's true, is that worth $50 million? That'll be up to a jury. So there's 2 allegations here. Now, summer 2024, the relationship becomes fearful and non-consensual. So let me read this to you. Shannon's aggression and rage continued to escalate to the point that plaintiff's friends began to fear for her safety. For example, when plaintiff was with her friends, they could hear Sharpe yelling at her over the phone and would ask her if she was safe and if she was okay. Here's the thing. If you're 26 and dating a 56-year-old, those are like 3 generations apart, honestly. So you hanging out with 20-year-olds is different than a guy that's been through the NFL. How many women do you think he's gone through in his NFL career?
Listen, my time of playing professional ball, okay, the things that I've seen, I've always presented myself and carried myself with integrity. The way I moved, I was always strategic in everything that I did and say. Okay? If a person said no, person said no. If a person was down with it, we down with it. I never put myself in a position nor a situation where it comes back on me and the cameras are looking at me and folk asking me questions and I have to stand there and give an answer. Paraphrase, make that clear.
Women throw themselves at these guys because they have money and status, and they want to go in the booth. They want to be around the team. They want to be around that money, all that money. And what football player, most of them do their work. And that's what they call women. They call it work. NBA players do it. All these guys, not all of them. Some of them have, normal families. But it's not uncommon for these guys to have multiple. I mean, look at Adrian Peterson. He's got 3,000 children by 4,000 women. It's just ridiculous. If this happened in the summer of 2024, it's not until a month later that the supposed assault happens. So in the summer of 2024, plaintiff and Sharpe each moved to Las Vegas for their own reasons. Sharpe, why do you think she moved? She moved because he did. Sharpe liked to say that the plaintiff followed him to Vegas, but that too is a lie. Once in Vegas, Sharpe again insisted that plaintiff sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. She refused, and again he persisted. But after enough resistance, he let it go and continued seeing her multiple times a week. His behavior did not change. He remained erratic, controlling, and verbally abusive.
Again, why does she allow him to continue to see her? See, look into things instead of looking at things. That money. Couldn't get enough of that money. But see, we're breaking this thing down. I hope that now y'all are having a better understanding of all of this. And please leave me a comment and let me know and share your thoughts.
All while telling plaintiff that he was committed to a sexually exclusive relationship with her. BS. I don't buy that for a minute. So then in September 2024, Sharpe humiliated plaintiff. He live streams himself having sex with another woman on Instagram for over 1.1 million followers to see. Why would you do that? I think he did that. He said he did it by mistake. He later made jest of the incident on a podcast.
I said, I just got to tell him the truth. My phone wasn't hacked. It wasn't a prank. It was me being a healthy, active male. I mean, y'all thought I was bull jiving.
Nigga, you did that shit. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. We heard that. We seen that. And it's okay. Come on now. For one ball player to another. Come on now. We men's up in here.
Hey, I'll get it in. Real talk. Hey, Ocho, see, I know, man, I'll be lying. Okay, lying?
Come on, man.
He sparks hard, Ocho. You know, I hit one early this morning.
Come on, man.
In all sincerity, I'm extremely embarrassed that a very, very private, intimate situation, the audio can be heard. And I'm extremely disappointed in myself.
Nigga, no you not. You proud of what you did. And you representing Sparks. That's why they went on ahead and gave you a little endorsement deal. Come on now, big dog.
5 minutes before I came on, phone rings. It's Cat Williams. So I said, yeah, bro, what's up? The first thing out of his mouth, guess what he said, Ocho?
Oh, wow.
You ain't gay today?
But for plaintiff, it was anything but funny. He had repeatedly assured her that they were in an exclusive relationship, albeit unhealthy and abusive. This was a lie, but are you the first? Is this the first time a guy ever lied to a woman? No, he lied to me. I thought I was the only one. You're 26.
And you do OnlyFans. What? You do fucking OnlyFans. So do you think a man is going to take you seriously? You think? Come on now. It doesn't take a crackhead to figure this shit out. Okay? You're an afterthought. You're a tax write-off. You're a garden tool. Let's be clear. Like a person is going to take you serious in a relationship, knowing what you do. You do things in the nude online for people to see and to pay you a monthly fee for you to continue to do that. There's some rocks outside. Why don't you take your ass out there and go kick them?
He's 56. He's been in the NFL. He's built like a brick fucking shithouse. Women would pay money to lick his balls. I mean, give me a fucking break. At that point, plaintiff began to pull away from Sharpe. She stopped answering his phone calls and stopped telling him where she was when he would demand it. Why not just move back to where you were? Or why not just break it off with him? Why don't you just say, I would like to break up with you? Plaintiff's feeble attempts at freedom and independence further upset Sharpe. He began flooding her phone with calls, demanding to know where she was. He called relentlessly multiple times per hour. The harassment became so unbearable, plaintiff frequently began leaving Nevada, determined to cut off communication, resist his efforts to control her, and attempt to reclaim some control of her life. It took...
You mean to tell me, Shannon, that ass was that good? That piece of ass was that good? That poom poom was that good? For you to crash out? Allegedly, if that's the case? Men, do not ever put yourself in these type of situations. Ever. Ladies, do not ever put yourself in these types of situations. It doesn't matter which side of the coin. Do not ever put yourself in these type of situations.
Courage for plaintiff to make this effort. She remained terrified, even though she was thousands of miles away. Why not just change your fucking phone number? So if he's blowing up your phone, then you should have phone records, right? And if that's the case, that's the case. But I guarantee you.
Why not have a restraining order? How come you didn't file a restraining order?
You're going to have something to back up your bullshit. So, and then the last one, I'm going to make it so no man will want you again. In October 6, 2024. Wait, all this other stuff, how bad he was in September? How did you even come to see him again? Oh, you must have had a change of heart. Plaintiff was working out in Nevada gym. I thought you were thousands of miles away. Anyway, following her usual routine. As she worked out, she saw Sharpe aggressively approaching her. She could tell by his look and by the way he was moving quickly towards her that he was furious for having been ignored. As soon as he got close, he told her, "Sit the fuck down, or I'm going to kill you." You're going to kill her right in a fucking gym? I don't think so. Plaintiff refused. "I don't want to talk to you. You cheated on me." His response was dismissive and controlling as usual. "You don't have a choice." Sharpe demanded that they talk in private. Plaintiff told him no. She made it clear that she did not want to talk to him, be alone with him, or want him coming to her home. So why not get a restraining order? Why not move gyms? I'm not saying it's your job if you're being treated like this. I'm not saying it's your job to extricate yourself from him, but you need to protect yourself. There's a thing in civil law called mitigation. Did you do anything to mitigate the damages? And I'm victim blaming here. I know I am, but I'm trying to show you the position that Shannon Sharpe is going to come at her with. Sharpe demanded that they talk in private. Again, plaintiff told him no. She made it clear she did not want to talk to him, be alone with him, or want to come into her home. But Sharpe didn't care. He never took no for an answer. He forced her to under threat to get into his car and go to her house. Once Sharpe was inside her apartment, plaintiff tried to keep... See, there's going to be footage, I'm sure, of some of this, to keep the conversation in the living room, but Sharpe refused. He demanded they go to the bedroom. She said no. He didn't listen, nor did he care. Once inside the bedroom, Sharpe grabbed her from behind and forcibly positioned her to perform oral sex. He then held her in place and then forced her to begin performing. He even became angrier and said, "You've disrespected me so much. I'm going to punish this asshole. I'm going to make it so that no man will ever want you again." That's all I'm going to read about that. I mean, you got...
Question. How come the authorities wasn't called? How come the police wasn't called? How come a report wasn't filed or taken? How come a restraining order wasn't filed? This attorney said all the right things. How come you didn't change your phone number? How come you didn't report it? Why did you move back? You knew what you was doing. You painting a picture of Shannon, but yet you still stayed. You did anything necessary to stay to continue to get that money. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. We're all adults. You knew, but you did it anyway. At some point, you could have left. Like I said, you didn't think this through when you decided to get with this bullshit, crooked-ass attorney. You knew about him. Come on. I'm quite sure you did your research on him. I'm quite sure somebody's paying you to behave the way you behave, because any normal woman, any normal woman, and ladies, you watching this video, please put it in the comments. Wouldn't you, if you was in her shoes, call the police, get a police report, get a restraining order, change your number, turn off your locations, move back where you came from? You would do that. You would break off all communication. Help me make it make sense.
This complaint is online. Somehow it happens in January too. And somehow he gets into her apartment and assaults her again. So one would have to get all the text messages between them to get to some semblance of the truth of this. Now, if she's ignoring him, and then you would have all these text messages from him, right? So you'd want to get his phone. And if he's deleted these communications, a jury can make an adverse inference against him for that. Now, in fairness to Jane Doe, notice I took the Mr. Sharpe's side on the front end of this. Now we're going to take her side a little bit. Football players are babied, okay? NFL players are they're idolized, they're babied, they get what they want, they have money, they don't know the word no typically, you know. Some guys are gentle giants and some guys are possessive assholes.
And I have to speak on that because of my profession, even though I retired as a professional athlete in the AFL and the XFL, Team USA. Not all of us are assholes. You have some that are. But you do have a lot of ball players that are family men, that are gentle giants. And, you know, that stereotype is carried. That label is carried because of what one done kind of messed it up or put that label for all. When truly that's not the case. I just want to make that clear.
Remember O.J. Simpson? Remember? I mean, she tried to get away from him, and look where she wound up. So that's not lost on a lot of people. And when you get into an aggressive, abusive relationship, it's hard to leave it. It's absolutely hard. Now, what do I see as a criminal defense lawyer? I see these guys. I fucking hate abusers. I just fucking can't stand them. Why do I not? Because guys that put their hands on women are generally no fucking good. They don't listen to you. They are cheap as hell. Nothing is ever their fault. And they don't really participate in their defense by having intelligence. They sit there and they know everything. So you get a guy like Shannon Sharpe. Who's that? Yeah, tell her to call back. So what was I saying? So you get a guy like Shannon Sharpe who's a Hall of Famer. So
Let me stop right there and interject. An abuser can not only be a man, but it can also be a woman as well. Okay? An abuser, there's no gender limit. There's no age limit. There's no race. An abuser can be a man, and an abuser can be a woman. Let's make that clear.
Everybody fucking loves him. And everybody loved OJ. I'm not saying that they're the same people, okay? Everybody loved OJ, and he was one person to Hertz rent-a-car. Remember? You probably don't. Most of you are so fucking young that you don't remember his commercials. But he used to run through the airport and go, OJ, go, you know?
Nobody does it better than her.
Nobody does it better.
And he had these endorsements. And he had movie deals and stuff. You think he was the same way with Nicole that he was with the executives from Hertz? No. Oh, I met OJ. And I'm sure these guys, you know, around the smoke-filled room, you know, having their 30-year-old scotch, and would say, oh, you met OJ? Yeah, nicest guy in the world, nicest guy in the world. But behind closed doors, who was he? He was a fucking monster. I mean, we saw the black and blue marks on her, and we saw what happened to her, you know, and it's just tragic. And that can happen. Guys can be one way in public, and, you know, on Club Shay Shay, you can be Shannon Sharpe, and on the other hand, you can be this monster behind the scenes.
And that's a two-edged sword. A woman can be one way in public, but at home, behind closed doors, can be a totally different person. I understand where he's going with it, but we're going to come from both sides with it, because you have some bad people. You have some bad men. You have some good men. You have some bad women. You have some good women. So majority of the talking points that he's sharing can also be rooted in both ways as well.
We don't know what the truth is here. The truth will. Now, here's the other thing. I don't have the answer to the complaint because it hasn't been filed yet. But I can guarantee you it's going to give you a totally different version of events. She demanded this. She demanded that. She wanted money. She wanted, you know, he was leaving to Las Vegas, and she demanded that she demanded that he pay for her apartment, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of counter allegations in the answer to the complaint. So here's what happens. So you have this complaint that's now been filed. Now it's a matter of public record, and I just read you most of it. And then you're going to have it now within a certain period, usually 20 days or so. They'll have to answer that, right? So they'll answer that. And then once they answer that, guess what happens? They start discovery. And discovery in civil is not like criminal. Criminal, it's like, I got my reports, I'll give it to you. You give me your reports, I'll give it to me. Let's go try our fucking case. No. They have like miniature trials. You get to depose the witnesses. So Jane Doe will be deposed. Shannon Sharpe will be deposed. If there's any medical testimony, doctors will be deposed. You get to ask for written questions. You get to subpoena documents. You get to do requests for admissions. It's a whole process that's very, very arduous. But by the time you get to trial, you get a body of evidence and you know what's going on. And now remember, the civil standard is far different than the criminal standard. So what does Jane Doe have to prove? She just has to prove that it's slightly more true than not true. Do you kind of believe me or do you kind of believe him?
She has to prove, upon a reasonable doubt, that everything that she said he did. You have to prove that. Where's the proof that he done everything that you listed, that you filed, that you said that he did? If you can't do that, then your case will be dismissed. And he has the ability to countersue you for damages and defamation of character.
And it's very, very difficult to fight these allegations. And why is it difficult? It's difficult because the jury always wants to protect somebody. And the only thing she can get is money. Now, if this is forwarded on to the cops, which I don't know why it hasn't been, and maybe it has been and they declined it. That's a possibility too. But everything in here is criminal, and the guidelines or the sentencing for something like this is through the fucking roof. You can go to prison for at least 12 to 15 years on a mandatory minimum, depending upon your state and the different laws. We will keep an eye on Club Shay Shay as this woman tries to extract $50 million. And does she have a motive? Yeah, she does. She's got 50 million reasons why she wants to go after him. So should she be suspect? Absolutely. Every allegation that you make against somebody has got to withstand scrutiny. Do we believe everybody the first time they tell something? No, you shouldn't. And this whole business of Me Too and you believe women, that's all well and good for advocates. I applaud you for supporting those who are victims of sexual assault. Absolutely. Are you a necessary part of the system? Absolutely you are. Are there women who are telling the truth? And maybe she is too. But for her to get to where she wants to go, she's going to have to go through the discovery process and vet her story. It's got to withstand scrutiny.
And she has to be able to prove that these events took place. These things took place. She has to be able to prove that.
And it won't be pretty. And these lawyers will go after her fucking hard. They'll go after her background. They'll go after her friends, her family. They'll do whatever they have to do to try to protect Shannon Sharpe and destroy her credibility. That's what a good lawyer would do. And you know what? They'll do the same to Shannon Sharpe. They'll probably try to, Harvey Weinstein's going to trial. Guess what they're bringing in there? All kinds of other people who have done this or that he did this or that to. So that's what they do.
Until then, and only then, go be the best version of yourself. It's your boy, Big Truck. Please share your comments, share your thoughts. Go be the best version of yourself for many people to see. Take that with you and go be great one.
Victory lap.